In the city of Moulton, crime is at an all-time high, with murder, robbery, and corruption ruling the streets. With the public demanding results and an end to crime, a task force was created to combat these vile criminal elements as they continued to plague this city. The squad was responsible for capturing the city's most wanted criminals, and we always got our man. The public called us the Crime Busters. The squad was led by me, Detective Jim Reed. Most people here call me Noire Reed, and in today's series of the Noire Files, we look at this father and son duo caused an stir-up in Moulton City's underworld, more than Henry VIII did. The story is of Sal Marcano and Georgie Marcano, better known as Senior and Junior. Case File 11, Senior. This will be a two-parter. Hope you enjoy it. Name, Sal Marcano. MO, none. Age, 35. Victims, well, none. He has brown hair, eyes blue, height and weight are average. Status, he's alive and is serving 5 years at hard time. Now, to understand this case, you need to first understand the origin of Senior. Now, Senior real name is Sal Marcano. He was a small-time hood and eventually rose up in the ranks of the infamous Rose Gang, which was an old Jewish mob, that of the Purple Gang down in Detroit, and was led by this guy, Nucky Bernstein, better known as the Rose, which, as you could see, was his signature, and that's how the gang got its name. Now, everything went well for him. He was a criminal with a code, followed a set of morals, and everything was going well for him until the day he got married. He finally got married, settled down, and had a kid. The wife's name was Olivia, and his son would be named Georgie. It was a family name as far as I was told. Now, the Marcano family had it all until one day they were attacked by the Southies. Obviously, it wasn't. When the dust settled, they were immediately rushed to hospital. Now, Olivia died on the operating table. Sal lost his eyesight, and Georgie was left without any physical scars, luckily. But mental scars, we'll get that when we do part 2. Now, when the incident was heard and made the rounds in the neighborhood, well, he was kicked out of the gang. Yeah, I guess no honor amongst thieves, unless you're useful. He was kicked out and was sent to essentially live alone. He eventually ended up opening a candy store and became a store owner. He was content just to live a normal, peaceful life away from gangland. But his son, well, he was full of vengeance, fury, and, well, changed. And he looked at his father with shame and disgust. And he eventually became a ruthless and sadistic hood. The relationship between them would soon strain and become complicated in later life. Eventually, Junior formed his own gang. And when Senior heard that, well, he tried to sway his son from going down that path, but his mind was already made up. And as far as the report says, Junior then forced Senior into the gang. And, well, this is a report of what is supposed.
Tracy?
Junior won the fight, and since then, Senior became a member of the gang. His criminal career was back in resurgence. The mob's first move was to set themselves as the newest players in the city's underworld. First, they started recruiting, members to their gang, mostly small-time hoods from the neighborhood, but eventually, as they began hijacking valuable stuff and fencing it off, resulting in bringing a lot of profit, rejected members of the Rose Gang eventually left the mob to join theirs, hearing better scores, better pay, and treated better. Eventually, with more manpower, they started pulling off big scores, and eventually, word came around of a duo responsible for pulling off capers, only known by the gang as Senior and Junior, because A, they're related, B, it's because to many of them, they don't know who really runs the gang. It's either Senior, because how he's a grandfather figure that many saw, and, they just like talking to him, and that was a person they looked up to. Senior's role was questionable, though, because he wasn't a traditional gangster. It was more of a kind-hearted grandfather figure and didn't dress up like a typical gangster. The son, on the other hand, was a brutal, sadistic teen, and many feared him, which is why many thought really he was really in charge of the gang, and to my reports, it's definitely suggested that way. It was also clear that he didn't want to be a criminal, and he didn't dress the part. The gang's success continued until they attempted to steal a load of diamonds worth $250,000. And as the gang arrived on the scene to heist the stuff, guess who else turned up? The Rose Gang. And next thing you know, a gunfight ensued between the two, whilst at the same time quickly heisting all the diamonds. Well, it ended with the gang leaving with the diamonds, and the majority of the members of the Rose Gang that were there dead. We came in as soon as we heard of the incident. We were put on the case to stop all the thefts, as by this point the organization had committed several robberies and several gangland killings of rival gangs. Majority came from the Rose mob, so already we knew that. Forensic expert Abe looked at all the crime scenes and only found really one clue to go on: an worn, told, wrinkled up gift voucher for the Marcano's candy shop. You see, right now, this recording, we found out that the candy shop was actually the gang's main headquarters. Surprising it was very common back in the old school days, clearly hinting of Senior's contributions to the gang due to his long career as a criminal and, of course, experience. Now, me and Brett quickly got into the car and went to the shop to ask questions. When we came there, we came face to face with the duo pair for the first time. Now, my first impressions of Senior was that he was a nice man who wouldn't hurt a fly. In fact, I actually had a very nice conversation with him when discussing about the crime scene. Junior, on the other hand, well, he didn't like me the first time he saw us. In fact, I could already see that he hated Brett more than me. He then said he had to go out back, but he gave us one hell of a glare. Automatically, I knew something was very wrong with this kid. Anyway, we then asked Senior about the voucher and how it could have ended up at the crime scene. He said he didn't know. He says that he just gives them out. And we've managed to find out the date and when it was, and seeing if he could give a list of people that were given that, given a voucher on that particular date. He said he'd be more than happy to oblige. Gave us a very short list, and of course, we went on our merry way. Now, as soon as me and Britt exited the shop and got into the car, we were surrounded by Junior and the entire mob. They all had their guns aimed at us, and he said, "Okay, boys, aim." To be continued. Join us next time, and for the thrilling conclusion in